Los pronombres de objeto directo. Cuando usamos los pronombres de objeto directo? We use direct object pronouns to refer to someone or something that has already been mentioned in a sentence or conversation. Direct object pronouns help to avoid repetition. As we can see in this example in English, we may ask someone, "Do you read books?" They can respond, "Yes, I read books." Or, more realistically in English, we shorten this up by saying, "Yes, I read them." Spanish does a similar thing. ¿Cómo identificamos los objetos directos? A direct object is the object or person who receives the action of the verb. To find the action of the verb, identify the verb in your sentence and then ask yourself, ¿qué for objects or a quién for people? Por ejemplo, estudio la medicina. I'm going to identify the verb, which is estudio, and then I'm going to ask myself, ¿qué estudio? My answer would be la medicina. That's what I study. Therefore, there's my direct object. Otro ejemplo, tenemos veo al médico. So I identify my verb, which is veo. I ask myself, ¿a quién veo? And I answer, al médico. Therefore, that's how I know al médico is my direct object. ¿Cuáles son los pronombres de objeto directo? Once you've identified the direct object in your sentence, you'll be able to determine the correct pronoun to replace it. Here we have the direct object pronouns available for you, and to test your knowledge, we'll bring in the two direct objects from the previous sentences. So we have la medicina y al médico. Go ahead and see if you can identify what those pronouns would be. Entonces, para la medicina, the pronoun is la, and for al médico, it's lo. If the médico example was confusing, remember that when we saw the sentence, it said veo al médico. I see plus al médico. So at the heart of this, it's really el médico, and that's how we know that it's lo. ¿Cómo formamos una frase con pronombre de objeto directo? A direct object pronoun is a word that replaces the direct object to avoid repetition, like you saw in the example at the beginning with the books. Do you read books? Yes, I read them. This is how we're getting our equivalent in English to them. So place the pronoun before the conjugated verb. In our first example, we have estudio la medicina. We know that la medicina is replaced with la. It goes in front of the conjugated verb. So we have la estudio. I study it. Our next example is veo al médico. We've identified our direct object, which is al médico. So we replace it with lo. So we have lo veo. I see him. Tenemos una regla especial. The placement of the direct object pronoun is in front of the verb unless you're using infinitive or a gerund. In this case, you would have the option to place the direct object pronoun in front of the verb sequence or to attach it to the end. So for this example, we'll talk about infinitive verbs. One of the times that we use infinitive verbs in Spanish is if we use the ir a infinitive construction to talk about the future. So in this sentence, I have voy a estudiar la medicina. I am going to study medicine. I know that I can replace la medicina with la, and so I can put that in front of my verb sequence, la voy a estudiar, or I can put it at the end, voy a estudiarla. My other situation is when we have gerunds. As a refresher, a gerund in Spanish is when we would use estar and then ando or yendo at the end of our verb. In English, this translates to like an ing. So for example, estoy estudiando la medicina would translate to I am studying medicine. So once again, that la can go in front of the verb sequence, la estoy estudiando, or it can go at the end, estoy estudiando la. But keep in mind, if you attach a direct object pronoun to the end of a gerund, you must add an accent 3 vowels from the end of that gerund. So if you can see the cursor on my screen, if we have the end of the gerund here with our direct object pronoun at the end, we have 1, 2, 3 vowels from the end. Our accent goes on this A. Vamos a practicar. We have provided you with a sentence here, and we want you to first identify the direct object, then decide what the direct object pronoun would be, and then rewrite the sentence using the direct object pronoun. I would recommend pausing this screen so you have enough time to think this through, and then when you're ready, push play again for the answers. Las respuestas. So if we're following for step 1, the steps that we did earlier in this PowerPoint, then to identify the direct object, we would ask, ¿qué? We would identify our verb, uso, and ask ¿qué? ¿Qué uso? My answer is mi computadora. Therefore, I know that the direct object is la computadora. Then with this information, I ask myself, what is the direct object pronoun? It is la. And then I rewrite the sentence, remembering that the direct object pronoun goes in front of the conjugated verb. So we have la uso cada día. I use it every day. Aquí tenemos otro ejemplo. Once again, pause your screen, and when you're ready, check in for the answers. So for number 1, identify the direct object in the sentence above. El periódico, because I asked myself, ¿qué tengo que leer? And the answer is el periódico. My direct object pronoun is lo. And now, in this sentence, you see we have an infinitive. So we talked about ir a infinitive as one of our constructions. Another is tener que, to have to do something. So our direct object pronoun can either go at the beginning of the verb sequence or after. We'll talk about the beginning first. So the first option is lo tengo que leer. And then if it were to go at the end of the verb sequence, it would be tengo que leerlo.